Levels aren't going to get any better around the area because rain's not going to be found in the forecast for us over the next couple of days. Meteorologist Brad Panovich talking about, that water level drop in the lake. Is it drastic or is it just normal that we're talking about?
That's pretty normal. What's not normal is the lack of rain. You know, even a swimming pool lose about 2 inches per week of evaporation. That's why this time of year you need an inch of rain every week just to maintain things, because you're losing water through evaporation. Moisture is going into the soil, being used up by plants. It's far different in the winter when the evaporation rates are low and there's no growth of vegetation. We can actually get a lot of rain, and it feels like more. This time of year, you need a ton of rain to keep up. This is a live view out there. It is high and dry at Charlotte Motor Speedway. From our Mr. Sparky Carolina camera network, we could use some rain. I've noticed the trees around here already suffering from some drought stress and some heat stress. They're losing their leaves. That's always a defense mechanism. If they don't get water, lose the leaves so you don't lose more of it. Today was day 40 of 90 plus. Last year we had 58 at this point, but on average we have 44 a year. So we're on pace to surpass the average, but we're behind last year's pace, which was a very warm summer. We've made up for that cool June. That was a beautiful June, but ever since then, it's been all above average, and there's more on the way with this heat dome building in to the eastern U.S. Tomorrow will be a brief cool down, but only back to near average, which is 88 degrees. That's the normal high. So being at normal will actually feel cooler compared to the above average temperatures we had most of this week. And then by Friday, we're going to go way above average, maybe by 12 degrees or more, as temperatures jump up close to triple digits and certainly threatening record highs for Friday and even Saturday. You'll see that northeast wind tomorrow as temperatures cool into the upper 80s. Now, Thursday, the winds switch back around to the southwest. We're back in the mid 90s, but Friday's a pretty unique setup. We just talked about how dry it is. The ground is dry. The air is going to be less humid, and we're going to have winds coming off the mountains. That's downsloping winds. Out west, you might have heard of a wind called a Chinook or a Santa Ana. That's a really dry wind coming out of the higher elevations. Well, this kind of setup is going to produce really warm temperatures. The air will compress and heat up as it comes out of the mountains. So temperatures could easily approach 100, if not higher, because of the dry nature of the air. I'm going to forecast 100 right now, which would break our record high of 98 on Friday. I think we'll be close on Saturday at 98. So those 2 days in particular will likely have tied or broken records as we go into the start of the weekend. Now, we could use some rain, not a lot of it coming, at least until next week. There is a small chance of a stray shower or storm on Thursday, but I wouldn't hold my breath for that. That looks very isolated, if at all. The dew points, again, drier air, at least for a couple of days, goes up a little bit on Sunday, but next week we will see a pretty significant pattern change. We've also got to keep an eye on Franklin. Tropical Storm Franklin is going to be off the East Coast for a while. This is a 7-day forecast cone, not even to Bermuda yet, and likely will pass between the Outer Banks of Bermuda sometime next week, and that means big swells, rip currents, and likely some beach erosion. But what's more promising for rainfall might be something coming out of the Gulf of Mexico next week. There's indications that we could see some disturbance come up through Florida, depending on where it goes. Now, that's Franklin next Tuesday, but watch this next system come up through Florida, be off the southeast coast on Thursday. That could still be over the southeast at some point and give us some heavier rain, but we're certainly going to see a pattern shift by next week as cooler air, and yes, maybe the chance for better rainfall next week. But until we get there, this high heat is going to suck any moisture left out of your grass and dry it out completely. But next week, that's where we start to see maybe a couple inches of rain in the forecast. So here's the Guy Roofing 7-day forecast. I'll show you this part first. Upper 90s to 100 for Friday and Saturday. Sunday, we start the cool down, and then look at next week. First day of school CMS on Monday, mid 80s most of next week, and probably a pretty good chance of rain, especially early in the week.